going to go over to Nigeria for our next question today.
Yeah. So my next question goes to Kenelwe. Kenelwe, what advice do you have for women looking to grow either their own business or within the company they work for? What would you tell them?
I actually had a similar question last week, and in the discussion, because with Digify GPs, majority of them are entrepreneurs, right? But I figured that what I said to them, and to us 9-to-5ers, it's actually still the same. First thing is your authenticity, right? When you walk into the space, being authentic is really what's going to set you apart. Don't be out here, seeing a particular way that somebody does something and just like, I'm going to copy it to the T, bring yourself into the space as well. Although I do understand that there are some working environments that don't necessarily allow this in this fullest degree. I do understand that, like when I think of my journey and where I have worked, there were places where you can kind of, you try to bring yourself, but somehow it's watered down, So another thing I would say is in the space that you are in as a young person, is there a ladder? Like, is it actually there? Does it exist enough? Is it, if you try to build this ladder, will it like affect your mental health? Like, you also got to put yourself in that position first. So, and I'm also using my own experience that there were places where there was a supposed ladder, but when you tried to move up that ladder, you got like, they were trying to keep you at a certain level. So as much as you're going to be authentic, look at that ladder and actually just figure out, is that a real ladder? If I actually go up this thing, will it affect me mentally? And if it is, that's not your place. That is absolutely not your place. I think also I was very, very, very fortunate to work, to find work at Digify where they really do, they say, okay, here's the ladder, but they also really support you and your authenticity. Like, it's such a beautiful thing to be able to come through and say, this is me, this is how I work, this is how I do. And people are like, okay. I mean, like, I had green hair at some point this year.
Lovely green hair that I really loved.
I had green hair, and I was so scared to show my face. I was like, why do I have green hair? I'm working tomorrow. But my manager was just like, oh, I like it.
I mean, if I had hair, I definitely would make it green, but...
So that level of allowing you to be your true self as you do what you do every day, as you boss up every single day, I mean, I'm here for all of it.
Nice. Thank you so much for that answer. I don't know whether I can just add one additional thing to those women that will be watching this, to probably also that work ethic, so authenticity, and then work, show that, be that example to all of the people that will be working with you. The women actually are able to multitask and do, balance home, balance work, balance the creative, everything. So bringing also the work ethic to be able to show your team. So thank you so much for that answer.
Right, Q. This is my question to you. How have you built confidence, resilience in your career?
Shoo. Hey, the confidence one, bruh. My confidence fluctuates, to be very honest. There's days where I'm not feeling so confident, But I think the phrase, like, fake it till you make it is one that definitely kicks in. Yeah. I can step into a room and be like, yo, Hagaza, you're here with real COOs, not you, play COO, Because there'll be days where you really do feel that way. And you just fake it. You get into the room and you're just like, well, whether I'm supposed to be here or not, I'm here. And yes. I'm going to do it, Yes. I think, so I also run a company where we do a lot of poetry events, and there's a time called showtime. Now, when the event is live, when the show has started, the audience is in their seats, they want the show to go on. Whether you're ready or not, the show must go on, And I think I have that switch in me to say, if it's showtime, it's showtime, you know. So whether it's a media interview or whatnot, and sometimes I'm feeling very shaky, best believe when those lights go on, I'm just like, right, here we are, and we're doing it, you know. So I think it's the conversations we have with ourselves, you know. Sometimes those conversations build you up, and sometimes they break you down. So how are we mindful to say, I'm not feeling very confident today, but that's all right, because we're going to just keep talking to ourselves and speak positivity into the moment. But I think after a while of doing it, you know, going back to that grad book idea that Florence mentioned, after a while of doing it, you know, when that moment of I'm not so confident kicks in, you're just like, but wait, why aren't I? Because I've done this before, you know, remember there was that time and we made it through, you know. And I think the resilience is the same, you know, to say in that moment that requires resilience and that requires grit, you might not feel like you have it, but because it's showtime, because we have got to keep moving and we've got to keep pushing, you do it. And I think for me, and I look particularly back at times where things were very rocky at Digify, because if you talk about resilience, I remember those times, because that really took a lot of resilience, a lot of grit, you know, from Gavin, from myself, and from the team that was also still there, you know. You think about what is important to you, you know. There were two things that were important to me at that time: my salary and fighting hard to make sure that the salary keeps coming, which means that the company has got to keep going. Yeah. And then the impact, you know. And I think I was really, really blessed to come into this company as a project manager for Digify Pro, because I think that that's our most impactful program. You know, you're able to see young people come in. Sometimes in their interview, they can barely speak. They're so shy. But at the end of it, you know, at the end of 10 weeks of like grueling program, they're there standing in front, speaking to whoever, an ad exec, you know, and they feel confident to do that. So for me, it really is about what's important and keeping that in mind, you know, that even if you're scared, even if you don't know what's on the other side, because it's important enough, you take the chance, you know. And I think lastly, leading on to what you were saying, actually, or leading from what you were saying, the people you have around you, you know, because I can go through a whole day of being confident and inside knowing I'm not really or whatnot, but having to put up this face. You need to be able to come home to that tenderness, you know. You need spaces where you can cry because, hey man, it goes down, bruh, and it's tough. And I think you need those spaces of tenderness. So whether it is your partner at home, whether it is your parents, whether it is your girlfriends, whoever it is, you know, I think that's really what has helped me, because those people also become a mirror to you, you know. Sometimes we might struggle with being able to see ourselves and being able to, like, not see the mess, but actually also see like the brilliant stuff that you've done. And I think the people that you have around you, you know, if they're the right people, they will be able to mirror that to you, to say, but wait, why are you kicking yourself when actually this is who you are, you know?
Yeah, that's it, yeah. I have nothing else to add to that. Yeah, you spoke.
Thanks, man. So for our last two questions, it's questions I'm going to throw to all three of us. Okay. So I will start with Ginelwe, then go to Florence, and then I'll answer the question. Okay. But my question is, if you could speak to the 25-year-old you right now, what advice would you give them? You would not laugh in their face. What would you?
Well, I'm just thinking of where I was when I was 25 and what was going on in my head.
Where were you and what was going on in your head? Because that looks really interesting.
It was a lot. There was a lot. Definitely, I actually ended up getting a tattoo of these words. Trust in the process. That is like, one day you're going to have that tattoo, by the way, because the process is hard and it is long and you don't see the other side and you don't understand why you got to go through the things that you're going through. But believe you me when I say trust in that process. It's beautiful when you start seeing things blossom out of it. you grow so much as a person, like both personal and professionally. It's something that was this Florence mentioned, is that by the time I was 25, I had worked at the first company that I worked at, and that's where I learned work ethic, right? Hold on to that for dear life, because that is what's gonna actually set you apart as you go ahead. But more than anything, like, trust in the process. Yes, you're going to cry, you're going to scream, you're not going to understand why, but it's beautiful at the end of at the end of the journey. Like, I'm also saying that to myself now.
Trust in the process.
Trust in the process.
I mean, you've got a very permanent reminder of that. So look at your tattoo each time you forget.
Yeah.
Florence, what would you say to 25-year-old Florence?
I think the first thing I would tell my 25-year-old self is to do like certifications. That's the first one. The second one is that I should make decisions that don't necessarily have to be worried about. Like, so at 25, I was engaged, getting ready to get married. I got married at 26. So a lot of my decisions were, how would it best be good? You understand? Like, thinking about my partner, thinking about husband, so I would have told my 25-year-old self to be courageous and do the things you want to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and that's such an important one. And I think when we look at so many women's stories, yeah, marriage is lovely. As a married woman, I can definitely say, yes, marriage is lovely. But I think it can distract you from yourself if it doesn't come at the right time, or if it's not to the right person.
Stifle your development, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think for me, I would say listen to 25-year-old Florence's advice, yes. But to the 25-year-old me, I'd also say don't lose yourself in your 9 to 5. I think it's really important that, so for me, since 2010, when we started my other company, I've always had this passion project of mine, youth, literature, doing shows, traveling the world, and for me, when work gets really tough, at least I had word and sound, to fall on, and the things that I was learning, whether at City Press or at Don't Look Down or whoever else I worked, was always then about how do I bring it back into my company to build, and I think don't lose sight of your own dreams. Yes. If you're in a 9 to 5, don't lose yourself in that 9 to 5. If you're an entrepreneur, keep going, keep building your dream. Definitely. Yeah, I think that's what I'd say. Don't lose yourself. Don't lose the things that are important to you because of what everyone else tells you is important. And our last question for today, as leaders ourselves, what advice would we give to young women who also want to see themselves in these leadership positions that we hold, and even greater leadership positions? I'll start with Florence this time. Advice to young leaders?
Don't underestimate the power of personal development. Like, identify where you want to be in 5 years, in 10 years. So like in the midterm, in the long term, and then what are the gaps currently, so that you can start working towards those things, So, and it's continuous improvement. I tell people, hey, I'm 52, but I'm still doing certifications, I'm still reading, and how fast things are changing even now. It's worse than our time, right? So you need to be abreast of the things that you need to do to be at your best performance. But what that means, being able to know where you actually want to go. When you know where you want to go, you'll be able to chart the right path, get the right things that need to, build you up, and continuous improvement.
Love it. And Kinele, what advice would you give to young women who'd like to be leaders one day?
One thing I've always done, and I guess has also kind of like led me here, is I always knew what my passion was. So I would say take the time. I usually call it ceiling time. Like, lie down on your bed and stare at the ceiling and really dig deep into yourself and be like, what am I passionate about? And it mustn't be something that's like a hobby. Like I liked how you were saying that there's a 9 to 5, but then there's also this other thing that you absolutely love. But like see your passion in like your 9 to 5, what it would look like. Similar to what Florence is saying, you know, your goals and how's it going to go. But the thing is, it's all good to set those, but if you don't have the passion to go through with them, you know, it's not gonna end well for you. So that for me is the one thing, is that, you know, find this thing that you absolutely love, find this career that you think that I can grow myself in this career, and that be it, and hang on to it for dear life. I mean, one thing is that, because I always knew my passion was always like events, but what I loved about events was that I could do a project, like you literally start from just a brief on a piece of paper, and then you end up having this experience that people come and enjoy. And what I loved about that space was that people would literally come to you and say, I really had a good time. Like, thank you so much for putting this together. And the work that I'm doing now is exactly that. You know, you create a space for people to come and learn, and at the end they come back and they say, wow, thank you so much for this opportunity. So when I found myself in sales, I hated it because it didn't give me, you know, that part where I get to literally build something and in the end have a, hey, you know, you did great, because it's sales, you're chasing money, that's like your life. So I knew that my stint at sales was not going to last, because I knew it was just not, it didn't stick to the passion and the thing that I absolutely loved. So I did everything in my power to move from it. You know, yes, you're good at it, and truly, I mean, the commission, very nice, but it didn't set my soul on fire.
Oh,
Nah.
Set your soul on fire.
Yeah.
Definitely. So I know what I'm going to do this evening. I'm going to get home and I'm going to go stare at the ceiling.
You should stare at the ceiling.
But as I imagined that in my mind's eye, and then I just saw my daughter coming in and disturbing me.
Maybe after she's asleep.
Because toddlers have just that ability. But anyway, my advice to young leaders, I think I'd really say they should always be mindful of the people they have around them. So make sure you've got the right friends, man, you know, and for me, my friends have been such an important part of my journey, you know, because, yo, man, they've really believed in me, you know, they've been the people that I call when it's going down, bruh, and they're able to speak to me in a way that I understand, you know. Be very mindful of the partner that you choose in the very same way, you know, and I think Florence as well spoke about it. You know, make sure that you're surrounding yourself with the right people. Learn from other leaders as well, you know. I think it's really important to read about other people's journeys, because it kind of shows you that everyone's journey is different, you know. But I think be mindful to not also then box yourself into what leadership looks like, because we're all very different leaders, you know, and I think what's going to make you stand out as a leader is bringing you, you know. I'm such a hippie, love everywhere type of person, and at some point I felt like you can't be that if you're a leader, you know, but I think the one thing that does set me apart, or the one thing that is different about my leadership or makes my leadership unique or whatever, you know, is that compassion, you know. So don't feel that you need to lose parts of yourself, you know, to stick into some sort of mold of what you think a leader is. But I'm going to go back to watch the people around you, man. The people around you can either build you or break you. And as a leader, it's really important to be mindful of them.
It's true. 100%.
And that brings us to the end of today's conversation. This was lovely, man. This was so nice. Thank you so much, ladies, for spending some time with me as we...
Pleasure to be here with the two amazing ladies in South Africa.
Say hi to the young people in Nigeria there for us. Send love.
I will.
And thank you to everybody who has joined us for today's conversation. Please do keep tuned to all of our social media channels to find out what's coming next, because you know how we do at Digify, always having the conversations that are really, really important as we continue to build opportunities and build careers for young Africans within the digital economy. Thank you for joining us.